Oh yeah. Good evening, Lake Orion. We got a special guest here. Mr. Christopher Eamon is kind enough to join us. There he is. Chris.
Thank you.
With
Thank you. Thank you.
You're going to lend some Lions expertise to the show today, I understand.
I'm going to try to. They need it.
All right. Whoo, boy, do they need it. That's right. But before we get to the Leos,
Ian, does my hair look bad?
No, your hair looks great.
Okay, thanks.
Could use some highlights or something, but that's
sure.
fine. Before we hit the Lions, I think the Dragons, did they play on Friday? I can't remember.
Saturday.
Play Saturday
afternoon.
Did they just play this past
Yeah, they
Friday?
just played Friday, yes.
Who did they play?
Macomb, Dakota.
Macomb, Dakota. They lost, though, didn't they?
Dragons beat the Cougars.
They
51.
what?
They won 51-35.
Has that ever happened before?
Well, it's the first win against Macomb, Dakota in the playoffs for the Dragons this season as a career, you know.
Wow.
Me being part of two teams that have lost, you know, for me, it gives me, you know, I was really happy to see it, you know, I mean, after hearing all the pain and suffering. You know, I've went through some pain and suffering with Macomb, Dakota, but I'm really, really thankful the Dragons beat the Cougars.
Need a tissue?
No.
You gonna tear up?
Don't need one to tear up.
Well, you know, it was a very good victory for the Dragons. They came out early on fire.
Sure.
Dakota had some travel issues. There was an accident, I believe, on
Two of them.
Two accidents, and travel played a role. And but the Dragons came out on fire. I mean, they were great defensively in the first half. I mean, it was 17-0.
31-7.5.
It was 17-0 in the first quarter, 31-7 at the half.
Wow, Dakota barely got off the bus, huh? And,
Dakota's offense got going in the second half, but I mean, one thing I felt the Dragons were very opportunistic. They took advantage of Dakota's slow starts, and they won. And you know, they're regional champions, and they get to play on Saturday at Troy Athens.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got
Very exciting.
You got to look at what Lake Orion did. You know, they took advantage first of an interception. You know, it led to a touchdown.
Sure.
And then of course you stopped Macomb, Dakota on a 4th and 6 from the 20-yard line, and then the Dragons went down and scored again. I mean, like, you know, the first half was everything was perfect for Lake Orion. The second half, real worried about that pass defense of the Dragons. Real worried because they gave up a lot. They gave up. Their quarterback had 3 touchdown passes. 2 of them were in the second half, which is alarming.
Can I just say something real quick? Your hair looks great with that band on.
Yeah.
You pull it off, my man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like a Ben Wallace.
Yes.
Fear the fro.
My man.
Yeah.
Fear the fro.
All right. Yes.
Let's preview this week's opponent.
Well, are there any lingering concerns from the Dakota game?
We'll talk
about that because there is a lot of concerns hanging into this week's game with Detroit Cass Tech.
Okay.
Detroit Cass Tech.
Always tough.
Mm-hmm. Always a tough game.
Perennial contender.
2010, the Dragons and the Technicians played at Troy Athens. The Dragons barely won that game, and it was barely. Cass Tech was going in at that time undefeated, and the Dragons came in, and it was a war. It was a slugfest until the very end. Cass Tech was threatening at the Dragons' 5-yard line, and Andrew Chef-Callis got
Caused the fumble.
Tyler Mishak recovered it, and the Dragons won. So Cass Tech, they haven't forgotten that game.
Sure.
This is a very dangerous team, though, this year. A lot of people say that this Detroit Cass Tech team is better than 2010. Let's look at it. Last season, they won this whole thing. They won the state title. But if you look at what Detroit Cass Tech has, a lot of people hype up how your quarterback's very, very talented, J. Campbell. I mean, like,
he's a sophomore, right?
He's only a sophomore.
Sophomore,
yes,
yeah.
he's only a sophomore.
Took him to the ship.
I look at the PSL schedule. You know, they played a tough non-conference. They played Brother Rice at Wayne State. They played at St. Mary's. But otherwise, the PSL they played in actually was pretty weak. I mean, the only exception in the PSL was Detroit Martin Luther King, and they lost that game. They lost that game. They got killed in that game.
41-13.
Yep, they were killed in that game. So
this year?
This year. I think if you look at it here, I think Lake Orion's got it.
In 2010 they were.
Lake Orion's got a really good chance, I think, to knock off Detroit Cass Tech again. They got a very good chance. You know, Detroit Cass Tech's got one of the best defenses in the state. They got a lot of D1 recruits, but we'll just see what happens.
When you think Cass Tech, you got to think D1 because a lot of players that go to Cass Tech go to Division I. So and one thing about Cass Tech, they're always going to be dangerous because of their athletes.
Right.
They're not deep. They're not that deep, but
big play potential.
Their running game, I know, is really good.
They've got two backs that are very good.
One had 193 yards last week on only 17 carries and 2 touchdowns against Saline.
They're athletic. They're athletic. Both their lines are big, offensive and defensive.
Right.
They like to stop. They like to stop the run. They like to stop the pass. Cass Tech runs the spread a lot like Dakota. They're just a lot more athletic. So it's going to be a very interesting. It's going to be a good test, and it's going to be very interesting for the Dragons.
Seems like a good speed matchup.
Yes,
very good speed matchup.
They're a very speedy team.
And so is Lake Orion.
Yes, they are.
A lot of offense, I think, in these games.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it will be in this game. I think there will be in this game.
Well,
it's going to ultimately come down to two things: tempo and defense. I mean, the defense has got to be great, and if the Dragons can control tempo, they're going to be fine.
How does a neutral field play into this, do you guys think?
Oh, it's huge because if you look at it here, both teams have got to travel, to that same field. I think Lake Orion's got more experience because Troy Athens is
Cass
in the
Tech
OA
had to
Red,
play at Wayne State, and
they've also
had to play on the road more, so that's what's scary
but
about
also they got experience playing on that field. Also, 2010, 2011. You know what I mean? This is their third semifinal.
True.
All right, let's get into it. What do we think?
I think the Dragons win over Cass Tech. I think the Dragons are going to go to Ford Field again. It's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a war, just like 2010. Just like 2010, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a slugfest. I think the Dragons get it done. Dragons have too much depth.
Chris, what do you think?
I think the same thing. I think neutral field, LO. I think they're going to do it. One thing to note, I did the final 4 teams in here. These are the last 4 Division I champions. So this is elite, like you're saying, powerhouse programs, and I think we'll rise to the top.
You got a score?
A score for this game. We talk about offense, but I think it's going to be a little bit, maybe nerves and anything. Maybe something like a 21-17.
21-17.
Like
okay.
I'm going to say Lake Orion wins this. It's going to be, I'm going to say 28-24.
28-24.
Yep, 28-24. I think, even though Lake Orion is the road team in this game, I think that the Laura's going to go down there. You know what I mean? I think the Laura's going to get a touchdown late to knock off the Technicians.
Lake Orion travels well, too.
Yep.
They'll have a good crowd. Feel like home.
They are the visitors in this game.
They are the visitors in this game, though, because of how the regions were set up. Lake Orion is in Region 4. Cass Tech was in Region 3.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of green in the crowd, though, that day, huh?
There will be a lot.
There'll be a lot of green on both sides.
All right, what time's kickoff, boys?
1 o'clock Saturday.
1 p.m.
1 p.m. Saturday.
Any final words before we head to the break?
Well, if you got the very shocked that Clarkston went out to Rockford. That was a shock.
Say hi to Mickey York.
Well, I'd say Clarkston going out was, it was interesting, but
it kind of stinks.
Big game, but nonetheless, Saturday between the Dragons and Cass Tech, big game.
Big game.
Very big game.
Travel a little bit north up 75.
Go south.
Go south of 75.
Oh yeah, what am I thinking?
South
of 75. Don't go north.
To John R.
Don't get north. You'll miss the game.
Yep.
Good
Go
to
north. You're going to Clarkston.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Maybe taunt them a little bit.
Or maybe west.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk a little Lions football here on Between Taorminas.
Hey, this is Mickey York from Fox Sports Detroit. When I want to get the inside scoop on local sports, I watch Between Taorminas or Fox Sports Detroit.
Three students were in the hospital this past weekend.
2 honor roll students were hospitalized last night.
5 local students lost their college scholarships last night.
Another local high school student has passed away.
Another 3 dead.
Claimed the life of another local teenager.
The cause?
Alcohol.
Alcohol. I don't want to be another number.
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 I don't want to be just another number.
Welcome back to Between Taorminas, where we are joined by our esteemed guest, Mr. Christopher Eamon. And how you guys doing? You feeling warm by the fire?
That's nice.
Feels great.
I feel
great?
chilly.
You feel chilly?
Feel chilly.
You want to switch spots? I'm closer.
Nah.
Did you bring your marshmallows?
Nah. Can I throw you in the fire?
After the show.
Get some s'mores
We'll
going.
do a burning down the house thing after
We'll
the
burn
show.
Ian down after the show.
All right, so boys, the Lions had a mission to go in to Minnesota and split the season series. They failed. They now have a losing
Miserable.
record. I want one-word reactions, and I want Chris first. One-word reaction from the Vikings game.
Disappointed.
Disappointed.
Extremely disappointed.
Extremely disappointed. Anthony, what's your word?
Damning.
Damning. Sam.
Done.
Done.
Ooh.
Good word. Good word.
Done.
Done.
All right.
Team will not be in the playoffs this year.
They got a tough road ahead of them.
Yup.
Anyone want to dispute that? Because I can't.
Well, I think you look at some of the positive things. 7 games left. 5 out of 7 are going to be there at Ford Field. But the teams that are coming into our house are
Houston.
yeah, some of the top teams, not just in NFC, but
Indy.
in the AFC. Yeah, Indy. I mean,
Indy's a big
Luck.
surprise.
Luck has his team rolling.
Yep.
They're on roll. Houston on Thanksgiving.
That ain't gonna be pretty.
We still have 2 games against the
Chicago.
Packers.
Got Green Bay this
We got
week.
Chicago once.
Got Chicago once. Yep. Green Bay.
Why can't we schedule like I don't know
The Jaguars every week.
the Jaguars on Thanksgiving? Can't we just get a win? on
Doesn't work
Thanksgiving?
that way.
No, it does not.
You want to talk about scheduling? You talk the NFL.
Yeah.
The NFL is responsible for the scheduling.
Goodell hates us.
CBS wants some ratings too.
Yeah.
I would think.
That's very true.
Do you want blackout games again?
No, I don't want to go back there.
Okay.
I do not want to go back to that.
We don't speak of those.
Yeah, the
days,
dark-
right?
the dark
Lions.
ages.
Lions are not a good. I mean, like you got to look at where in the world are they flawed? You know what I mean? Like they're bad against the pass. You know what I mean? That's been their big problem all year. Teams are throwing against them because they can't stop the pass. You know what I mean? Like. But I just couldn't believe they couldn't stop Adrian Peterson last week.
Well, that's
That
the
means
thing.
they can't stop the run.
Against the Vikings, you saw a combo meal. Christian Ponder had a
And
great
Percy
game.
Harvin didn't even play in that
Percy
game.
Harvin didn't play.
Yeah, that
Adrian
made it worse.
Peterson
That
ran
made
all
it
wild.
worse.
Yeah.
And the Lions have lost. The Lions lost at Chicago. That was a bad loss right there.
Terrible
They've had
game.
a couple bad losses.
I think one of the biggest things is we talk about the defense, but what helps out defenses are good offenses. And
Offense has been struggling.
one for 9 on 3rd downs. If we keep the offense on the field, then defense gets rest, control the ball, time of possession. But there's been so many times that you can
Matt
just
Stafford should be to blame. Should take blame for this, for how the Lions are playing. He needs to be held accountable for that because everything goes through him.
You don't think any of that has to do with like Linehan and play calls or anything like that?
I think play calling's huge. Because, like, if you look at here, I don't think Linehan's done a very good job with the play calling with the Lions. I just think if you look at what the Lions have, I mean, like, they should go deep a little bit more. But, Nate Burleson got hurt. That was a big loss. for
Titus
the
Young
team,
was doing great.
but still.
Titus
What
Young is
about
the guy that
LaShore?
really bugs me,
Still,
if we're going to be honest.
well, we got to get another back behind
Titus
him. You know what I mean? Because Java Best, missing him's hurting this team also.
Javid Best, you think? Why don't they just cut the guy?
Well,
Yeah, I think he was going to be a big role in this offense, and Linehan probably thought that. But I mean, just like in the NFL, you just got to make adjustments.
Do you think they get rid of Linehan?
I'm not sure what's out there. I know he knows the personnel here, but if things keep happening like this, then yeah, you kind of need to go out there and.
I also think you
and
need to
see
get
what's
rid of
out there.
Gunnar Cunningham as defensive coordinator because if you look at what the Lions have done, they're not very good against the pass.
Yeah, but if you look at the injuries, I mean, we're starting a rookie that we drafted in the 5th round, and we're just slotting in
Practice squad
safeties.
guys.
Yeah, it's practice guy after Don Carey.
Silva.
Yep,
whatever
Ricardo
his first-
Silva.
Yeah, Ricardo. What's okay? The defense is not good, but it's not as
right
bad as kind of you would think it would be.
Not as
Having
bad
these
as it's
practice
been in
squad
past
guys, they've kind of held their own against these lowly quarterbacks. But the biggest thing is the offense looks nothing like last year.
No, not at all.
And
No.
can anyone
Except
point?
Jacksonville.
Can we point a finger as to why? Is it Stafford? Is it Linehan? What is
I said
different?
it's Stafford,
Is it the other
so-
team's defenses? Any ideas?
I think last year, with the lockout and having short amount of time to have training camps, OTAs, things like that, I think the Lions took advantage of that last year possibly. And with this year, the book's out kind of on the Lions. How do you stop Calvin and the gang? So
I think a man curse is hurting this team.
A man curse.
that's the glaring point.
Yeah, it's a man curse. It's a man curse.
Just chalk it up to a curse.
Yeah,
huh?
because like Calvin Johnson, really, he's on the cover this year.
But what is
12 receptions, 207 and a touch.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the yardage. He doesn't have the touchdowns last year. He's close
Well,
in the
I've been hearing
yardage.
he's been hurt a little bit. Of course.
He is hurt.
He's getting tackling at the 2 yard line.
Right. And
3 or
those
4
become
times.
rushing touchdowns. You know what I mean? He's dropped a few bad balls, obviously, but nothing. Knock on wood, he hasn't had that season-ending injury. He hasn't taken a huge step back. I think he's still a great downfield receiver.
Where are they
Is
struggling
it knock
at?
on wood or knock on spoon?
You can do either. Both work.
Okay, cool. Cool out there.
Where are they struggling at?
Guys,
I think they do
It's
need to be
hard.
a little bit more creative, especially when defenses are coming in and they're sending 2 safeties 30 yards deep over on top of them. I think we just, I think we need to attack the middle a little bit more, maybe with the tight ends.
I think Pettigrew and
Maybe
Scheffler
what
become
about
huge.
what
in
about
that
just
aspect.
running it down a team's throat?
Well, you need they try to do that.
They
They
don't
bring in Reef and make him an eligible tight end, and we try to run off that, but we're not getting the big plays.
Right.
Do you guys think that Schwartz deserves blame as well?
I think in a sense, but I think it's because it's hard to point a finger, but I don't think that they're coming into games like mentally. Last week, first 2 drives or first possession, we get 2 first downs, and then we get that costly error. And I think it's just preparation, maybe, but I think he's holding the
Jim
players
Schwartz
accountable.
was the one that brought the guy in. You know what I mean? He deserves some of the blame. He deserves some of it.
All right, we got 1 quick minute here, guys. We could talk about the Lions all day, though. Packers. What do you think?
Loss.
W.
Good boy. What do you think?
Fantasy football, when I look at fantasy
Oh,
football, I have
boy.
Rodgers and Jones and Crosby, all Packers on my team. I'd like to see the Lions win, but I'd like to see those Packers get points.
A shootout would be good.
Mm.
We can go to a shootout.
I'm with that. What about you? What about you, Cowboy?
What are you thinking there?
I think they can win.
Dalmatian Cowboy.
I think what's going to need to be huge, though, is defensive line needs to step up. Packers defense, not that great. I think the X factor is going to be the D-line, and they, for the love of God, need to show up.
Definitely missing Corey Williams. He's,
Yes, indeed. We're missing
big time.
We're missing Sue. He hasn't shown up like his rookie year. Averill not having the year he had last year.
He should be back, though, for Sunday. He had that mild concussion. So.
All right. Well, we come back. Everybody's favorite segment, the call-outs.
Dalmatian Cowboys.
Dalmatian Cowboys here
You're a
on Between
Dalmatian
Taorminas.
I know one.
Prescription drug abuse is a national epidemic. The new in way to obtain drugs is through parents' or grandparents' medicine chests. Removing prescriptions from your cabinet is the best way to keep drugs out of the hands of our young people. We've got to work together to protect our teens, our seniors, and our environment. Clean out your medicine cabinet today. Please participate in Operation Medicine Cabinet and drop off your unwanted or expired prescriptions at one of our law enforcement drop-off sites in Oakland County. We can't ignore this situation anymore.
We want a Habitat home.
I love working on my Habitat home.
Soy dueño de una casa de Habitat.
My neighbor is a Habitat homeowner.
Being a Habitat homeowner has changed our lives.
My mortgage payment for Habitat is less than what I pay for rent.
Habitat for Humanity of Oakland County currently has homes available with more.
Yes, indeedy. Back here on Between Taorminas. Sorry to the public service announcement that got cut off there by our director, Pat Ronan.
Shout out Pat Ronan.
He owes you a little bit of a refund on your funding here. But, okay, so boys, nice and toasty. Things are hot. Emotions are running high. And it's all the perfect setting for a few good call-outs.
Yeah.
And shall you do the honors? Lead it off, Austin Jackson? Go for it.
I'll lead it off, genius.
Go for it, cowboy.
All right. This week, I got a friend of mine, good kid, good guy. At the same time, he wants to talk about, let's talk about hockey. Let's have a hockey preview show. Garrett Clogier. Garrett, why? Simple. Look, man, I know that you want to do a lot of things. You got a creative mind. You remind me a lot of me at times. It's just, Garrett, you got to take things one at a time. You got to go with the flow. You can't get it all in. Can't get it all in at once. It drives people batty. Garrett, I know that you're also a Red Wings fan, a Tigers fan, Lions fan. You're that Detroit. And a Michigan fan. You're the whole Detroit sports image. Garrett, why don't you expand your influence? There's so many people out there that expand their influences, that like other teams. I know that you write a blog about the Detroit Red Wings, but at the same time, and obviously a lot of people don't know a lot of the players, and it's a good insight about that. I encourage people to read it. It's great. But, Garrett, it's got to be smooth. You got to have a smooth transition of things. I don't think you do well at that. You just want to get it out get all the information out, and you got to get it smooth. Okay, Garrett, no shame on you, but you deserve to be on the call-out list. You really deserve it. Simple. Ow!
I'm just baffled by your call-outs. They start off real hot and heavy, and then they turn into like wild praise.
Hey,
it's good though. It's
one
unique.
person that deserves praise is the one and only Anthony.
Well, at least you called out a human and not the Easter Bunny today. So, all right. Next up, our guest, Mr. Eamon. Wonder what he has to say today.
Man, it was a. I don't know if this is supposed to be week by week, but there's a lot of choices out there. We just had a discussion with the Lions. A lot to blame there, but I'm gonna focus on that team that plays on the corner of Lapeer Road and 6th Championship Drive, the Palace of Auburn Hills. I got to call out the Detroit basketball. I mean, 0-8 to start, man. It's a promising franchise, first time ever. I know we went on a big road trip, but not to get a victory. I know Lawrence Frank, he's a good coach, young coach, up and coming, but we let a couple of those games slip. I know the Pistons are doing their best Valverde and just not able to close. But, we got to do better, man. We expect more out of you. And Detroit Pistons, it's my call-out.
That's a first time.
Well, I got
Hopefully
3
last
tonight.
time.
I mean, if people think. The first one I'm going to call out, Washington News this week. I've been very disappointed. I don't understand why this NBA franchise hired Mike D'Antoni, and that's the Los Angeles Lakers. Why? Phil Jackson's available. You know that! Why didn't you get him?
Why didn't you get him?
Why? You tell me that. Why? I understand that the Lakers struggle. They fired Mike Brown. It's a disappointing season. I understand that. But now the Lakers have been playing better. Why are you going to put a system when you have a team that plays no defense? Mike D'Antoni's system has no defense in that league. It's going to tell me I think the Lakers they're going to make the playoffs, sure. Do I think they're going to win an NBA championship? No. Because if you look at it, because Mike D'Antoni doesn't play defense, not one bit.
Watch, I can't wait till I prove you wrong.
Yep, the next one I'm going to call out, of course, is a professor of mine. My politics professor. She went to Vanderbilt, Her name is Nicole Anderson. Nicole Anderson, what? Let's look at it here.
My line. Okay, go ahead.
Let's look at it here. I know I'm a student in politics class, I just wonder, do you have a sports mind? Do you have a sports mind? It's like, every time I do a quiz, do I wonder, do you have a sports mind? Do you? I don't understand why. I just don't understand. There's things that I just don't understand. I'm not a good tester. I understand that. But, at least please, you know, bring some sports culture in the politics, please. I'm begging you!
You are aware she could fail you in class, right?
Yeah, I'm well aware of that.
Be very careful what you say. She could give you a 1.9.
Yeah, I've been there.
Be very careful.
Yes.
I'm advising that. Thank you.
Okay. And then my next call out, of course, get to go to his place on Saturday. His name, of course, is Bob Down. Bob Down. Why? Simple.
That's my line! You're taking my line!
I'm back! On Saturday, of course, you know, I still have I know you still put a restraining order on me. I understand that, for that matter. But, you know, I'm going to find a way to come into that game. Don't worry about it. I will find a way, you know? And even if you have to put me in handcuffs for crying out loud. You know, Bob Down. You know, like, this is going to be a crazy, crazy atmosphere. I understand that. But, you know, you can't turn me away. I'm a paid citizen. I don't need to be put in a slammer before Saturday. Don't put me in the slammer. I'm begging you, Bob Down. Don't do it to me. Jeez.
Okay.
Okay.
It's getting really hot.
Calm.
Wow, yeah.
Really, really hot now.
Okay. You are aware that you know, knowing Bob Dowd, knowing how big this game is, I don't think he's going to do anything like that. I think he loves you way too much.
I think you got quite the list of people that have a lot of offenses against you.
Yeah.
And if you ever get in trouble, you got a lot of.
You got a short list to call.
Yeah, you got a short list.
You got a lot of bad karma coming your way.
Mm-hmm. That you do.
And it's interesting what you think about during a quiz. I try to usually think about the material, not what culture.
Oh yeah, you gotta think of the quiz. You know what I mean? But sometimes
you should try to focus on that.
I got into a little debate with her about a question that I got wrong. You know what I mean?
What was the question?
I can't answer it on air, but it was not good.
All right.
Not good.
All right. Any final words? Anything? Chris, anything you want to share to the community?
Oh, man, I think you guys had me on the show, and you know, Pat Ronan's basement's pretty nice. I can't believe you allow us to, be in here.
Thanks to Mrs. Ronan.
Yeah, thanks.
She's always had a great basement.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even when we were younger.
Cookies were delicious.
I can't believe how this fire's been going the whole time. We haven't touched it. You know, like we haven't thrown a log on it or anything.
We've been.
Yeah. We're gonna throw you after the show.
Please don't. Please don't.
Yeah, we will.
All right. Well, I think that's about going to wrap it up today. Thank you to Chris for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Party on, soldiers.
Where's your headband?
Well, I was so mad because of the call-out.
Put it in the fire?
Yeah.
Pat's not going to be happy.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, that's going to about do it here on Between Taorminas. Have a good evening. Stay warm. I know we will. Bye now.
Go Lions.